What is up, everybody? We are back here for the King Film Sports official NBA 2024 bracket playoff prediction here, as we've had some great playing games the last couple of nights, and we have the top 7 spots in each conference seeded. Now, tomorrow, Friday, we just need to get the 8 seed determined, and then the whole playoff bracket will be set, and we will commence playoff games starting Saturday and Sunday. And reminder to check out our Betting Picks Discord, link in bio. NBA playoffs are the most profitable time of the year, along with NHL playoffs, which are going on at the same time, and we've got some MLB picks going on there, so definitely be sure to check those out. And without further ado, let's get into it here. And we started out with the number 1 seed, Oklahoma City Thunder. Very young team here, getting to 57 wins, facing off against the 8 seed, either the Pelicans or the Kings here. I don't really care who they face here. I think this is going to be a very easy series for them. Both of these teams injured. Kings without Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk. And with those two players, I think that they could have a legitimate shot here. And obviously the Pelicans, I think with Zion, they would have a good shot. Maybe even I would pick them to beat this Thunder team because Zion is just worth so much. But with him being out a couple of weeks here and the uncertainty, I definitely will take this Thunder team. They are young, which concerns me a bit, so I feel like they could falter in a couple of these early games. I remember a couple of years ago when the Pelicans were without Zion and they pushed that 64-win Suns team to 6 games, almost got it to a 7th there. So I do think that the Pelicans, with Brandon Ingram playing potentially well, getting back from his injury, I do think they could extend this to 6 games. Same thing with the Kings there. So I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think for the Thunder. Definitely don't think this series is a sweep there, but I do expect Oklahoma City to advance. Then we get to possibly the best first-round series here with the Clippers and the Mavericks. We saw these teams duke it out in the bubble, 2020 in the first round and 2021 in the first round as well. Those were phenomenal series, and Luka got all the praise from those great numbers and the carrying that he did. Unfortunately, the Mavericks did not win either of those series. In this one here, the Clippers dealing with some injury scares with Kawhi Leonard potentially missing Game 1. Don't know about his status, and even if he plays Game 1, he could be injured down the line, so you never know there. Also, Paul George, James Harden, they could potentially go down in this one, but working with what I've got here, I'm taking the Clippers to win in 7 games here. I just think that all of their talent will come together and win this one here against this Mavs team. Heliocentric offense with Kyrie and Doncic. And yeah, if Doncic and Kyrie just combine for 60, 70 points in every game, the Mavericks will probably win this one. But I do believe in this Clippers defense. They've got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I feel like they can lock up on defense. And then I just think that the role players will do well for this Clippers team. The Mavericks have had some standouts, Derek Lively, PJ Washington, among others. But I do think that this Clippers team, along with the depth, will get this one done on their home court in Game 7 there, although obviously I could see it going either way. Then we get to the bottom of the bracket here in the Western Conference. 2 more great series we see here. First, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Phoenix Suns. A lot of people will be taking this veteran Suns team to win this series, but I've just seen too much of them this season, too much inconsistency. Give me this Minnesota Timberwolves team to win in 7 games. I know that the Suns had that brutal stretch of games in the last 10, and they actually managed to play themselves out of the play-in, but I still was concerned with what I've seen. They just have no depth, and we've seen the playoff problems from the last couple of seasons. That depth has killed them. They replaced Chris Paul with Bradley Beal, but I don't think it's going to work out the way that they think it will. Yusuf Nurkic, I think he's going to be badly outplayed in this one by the 2 Timberwolves big men, Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. And then Anthony Edwards, I think, is going to have to outplay Devin Booker and Kevin Durant scoring-wise, and I think that he will be able to. I just think it comes down to home court here. These Minnesota fans will be live. And so give me this Minnesota Timberwolves team. I just think that they have more depth here. And I just think that there's no margin for error for the Suns team, as all 3 of their great players need to play really well. And then you're going to have to get great contributions from Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen. So I just think that this Minnesota Timberwolves team is better all around. So give me them to win there narrowly. And then we get to the series that is going to be the premier series of the first round. Everyone's going to be watching. Lakers-Nuggets rematch of the Western Conference Finals last year. And if people don't remember, people were picking that Lakers team to upset the Nuggets at that point because of what we'd seen in the bubble and historically with LeBron and AD, but the Nuggets obviously did sweep them. Though I should mention that the average margin of victory in those 4 games was just 6 points. So games were very close in the fourth quarter. In this one, give me the Nuggets to win in 6 games here. I don't think that the Nuggets are just going to steamroll the Lakers as they really didn't last year, as I mentioned. I think it's going to come down to close game variance here. If the Lakers are winning those close games, they potentially extend this series, could potentially get the upset, but I just think that the Nuggets are more consistent, and I think that this home court will help them out a lot. The Lakers, as a lot of people know, haven't beaten the Nuggets in the last 2 full seasons, so I just do not think it's going to be enough here. I think it comes down to the play of Anthony Davis. Can he outplay Jokic? If he does, then maybe the Lakers can win this series, and LeBron will obviously have to average at least 30, and then you're going to have to see role players such as D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves just play out of their minds for the Lakers to have a chance. And another storyline, Jamal Murray. We've seen how good he's been with this team in the playoffs. In the bubble, he was great. Then 2 seasons without him, they got stomped on in the playoffs, and now he's back. They won a championship last year, so I think he's going to return to his postseason ways, and I think that the Nuggets get this one done in 6 there. Then we advance to the second round in the Western Conference here. We got the Thunder and the Clippers. Now, this is assuming that the Clippers get through this one with no injuries, but if they do, I see them winning this one in 6 games. I think that they just have the veterans, all the leadership, all the mojo to get this one done. This LA team is known for choking, but I feel like against a young team in the Thunder, that won't really be a concern here. I think the Mavs are a much tougher test than this Thunder team, so give me the Clippers to win that one in 6 there. Also, the storyline of SGA against his former team there. Paul George was on the Thunder. They obviously made that big trade and all of the draft picks that they got, but at this point, I just think that the Clippers have more talent and will be in better shape at this point. Then we get to the Timberwolves and the Nuggets here in the second round matchup. Give me the Nuggets to win this one in 6 games. We saw this one in the first round last year, and obviously the Timberwolves internally combusted the last regular season game. You had Jaden McDaniel breaking his hand, punching the wall, and Kyle Anderson, Rudy Gobert drama. But in spite of all that, Anthony Edwards put on a show in this series last year, and they had it at 5 games, but a couple of those games were close, and I think it potentially could have gone 6 or 7, but in this one I have the Nuggets winning in 6 games there. I just think that Denver is the better, more polished team at this point, and I think that Jokic will be the best player in the series and will carry the Nuggets to victory there. And that brings us to our Western Conference Finals. Here we got the Clippers and the Nuggets, and let me just tell you, if this series actually happens, I might take the Clippers. We will see on that one. But as of now, I'm just taking the Nuggets to win in 7 games. More of a safe pick here. I mean, this Clippers team is always predicted to go very far in the playoffs, and they disappoint every single year, seemingly. So I'm just going to take what I know in the Denver Nuggets. I know people are saying that they were careless in the past couple weeks of the regular season, and they did lose that game last Friday to the Spurs, and they could have had the number 1 seed, now down to the 2. But I just don't really buy into that. They have more wins in this regular season than they did last year. I think that they're overall playing better. Jokic probably going to win his 3rd MVP. And in this matchup against the Clippers, I just do not think that the Clippers will be able to guard Jokic very well, and I do think that the role players and overall coaching of the Nuggets will be superior in this one, although I do have it going to 7 games, but that 7th game in altitude in Denver is just going to be a very tough task for this Clippers team. So give me the Nuggets to advance to the finals there. And with that being said, let's head over to the Eastern Conference, where we've got the number 1 seed Celtics, obviously the dominant team over the course of this regular season. We've seen this storyline play out before. The Celtics have been a highly touted team going into the playoffs, but they're just going to have to prove it by winning the finals before we can all start believing. I think that's a similar sentiment across the NBA. And they get a really good draw here, I would think, because they could have potentially been facing the Sixers, a valiant team at the 7 spot, or they could have been facing the Heat with Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy Butler is out a few weeks with an MCL sprain, so they're going to be avoiding him there, that Miami Heat team that has had their number in years past. And then you could also potentially face the Bulls here. So I'm going to take the Celtics to win 5 games. I don't really like predicting sweeps because there's just so much variance. Anything can happen. A team can easily just pick off a game. And also, this Celtics team just has a history of playing with their food within these matchups. That's going to be a storyline over the course of the playoffs. Are the Celtics different from their old ways? We will see. Coach Mazzulla will be under a lot of fire if they are in trouble here in the playoffs. But yeah, we'll take the Celtics to win 5 games. I just think that they're easily superior to either of these teams there. Then we get to the Cavs and the Magic. This one should be an interesting series, should be a defensive battle. Some of these games will just be played entirely under 100 points. Within the double digits there, but ultimately I just think that the Cavs have more talent here. They are the more experienced team. They got blown up in that first round last year against the Knicks when they had home court. Jared Allen said the lights were too bright for this team. Well, this year, just another year of added experience. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell has to get it done here, and then Evan Mobley I think will be a lot better than he was last year. And I do not think that they will be out-physicaled like they were last year against New York. So give me them to win against this young Magic team in 6 games there. Then we get to the bottom of the bracket here, and wow, another great first-round series between the Bucks and the Pacers. Obviously, we had that storyline of the rivalry budding between these two teams during the regular season, where the Pacers won this regular season series 4-1. I don't think that bears a lot of credence for how the playoffs will go, but just interesting note there. And then also Giannis probably missing this game 1. Now, it is worth mentioning that there is a lot of rest between games in this series. Game 3 isn't until next Friday, so we'll see if Giannis can get back for that. I'm going to buy into the storyline that Giannis gets back, so give me the Bucks to win this one in 7. Although I think if he doesn't play, then Indiana is very live in this series. But I just think that the Bucks have too much talent. Dame Lillard hasn't been in the playoffs in a few years. I think that we will all be reminded of who he is in the postseason, and I just think that this Pacers team is too young. Tyrese Halliburton, yeah, great regular season, but I think when it comes down to it, how good is that offense going to be in crunch time? And I just know that that defense can get picked apart, especially when Giannis is back. So give me this Bucks team. The championship pedigree is still kind of there. They are a bit old, but I do think that that veteran presence will be good enough here to get by this Indiana team there. Then we get to the Sixers and the Knicks. Great series here between these two teams, and I'm sure that the Knicks did not want to draw Philadelphia, getting that 2 seed and now having to face them. Give me the Sixers to win this series in 6 games. I was considering this series going 7 games, and maybe the Knicks do win this series, but I just think that if Embiid stays healthy, how are the Knicks going to guard him? They've got Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, maybe they can slow him down a bit just because he's coming off of injury here, just got back a couple of weeks ago, and he is perennially underperformed in the playoffs. But still, with that, all that being said, I think that he will go off here. Hopefully, he puts up 25 or 30 a game. And then I just think Tyrese Maxey, most improved player, will go off in this series as well. Jalen Brunson will just have to have an old-fashioned carry job in this one, and you're going to have other players like Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo just hitting every shot to keep up with the Sixers team. So ultimately, though they have home court, I do think that the Knicks will fizzle out here under the pressure in the first round against Philadelphia there. Next, we get to the second round here. We've got the Celtics and the Cavs, and this one should just be a gentleman's sweep. Celtics clearly better than this Cavs team, but as I mentioned, Celtics mess around in the playoffs, don't really like Coach Mazzulla, so I do have this one going 6 games. I think that it will be a bit uncomfortable for Boston, but they thoroughly outclassed this Cavs team there. The Celtics won the first 2 games in the season series, and then memorable third game as I think the Celtics blew a 20-point fourth quarter lead in that one, and there was a lot of controversy around a challenge in the last few seconds, ended up winning the game for the Cavaliers there. But I just think that that kind of shows the lack of discipline that the Celtics team has. I mean, maybe they can get over that. Maybe it's a sweep at this point. I don't know. The Celtics do have the potential of that, but we will just see here Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown in the playoffs. But I definitely do not think that the Cavaliers win the series, so give me Boston to advance there. Then we get to the bottom of the bracket, Bucks and the Sixers, and I do not believe that these two teams have played in the playoffs yet. In the past few seasons, these teams have always been in the playoffs. I guess they've always just been on different sides of the bracket. But finally, I think we will get to see it this year. And in this one, give me the Sixers to win in 7 games against their old head coach, Doc Rivers. What a storyline that would be there. I mean, Doc Rivers, I think, will get outcoached in this one by Nick Nurse. I really like what Nurse is doing with the Sixers team in his first year, and I think that you will see him doing well in the playoffs here. And ultimately, I just think that this Bucks team just got worse from last season. Even though they added Dame, the defense is much worse. And I just think that the Sixers have more depth in this one. So I'll narrowly take them to win in 7, even though they lack the home court advantage there. And that brings us to the Celtics-Sixers conference finals. We saw these two teams duke it out in the second round last year. And the Sixers had Game 6 on their home court, up 3-2 in the series, and they choked it to the Celtics. Choked a fourth quarter lead, I believe, in that game. It was brutal, and then Game 7 wasn't even close. I think the Celtics won by 30 in that one. So in this series here, Sixers got revenge on their mind. I should mention that this is the first time that they will be making the conference finals, I think since that AI team back in 2001. With Embiid, they've just been stalling out in the second round, and that could be the case here, but I do see them finally jumping over that hurdle. And as I've mentioned, I'm just bearish on this Celtics team's chances. So give me the Sixers to advance here in a massive upset as a 7 seed there. Getting to the NBA Finals, I have them doing it in 7 games, but I just think that the Celtics team will fold under the pressure if they get pushed to a 7th game here with all this pressure. And I do think that Embiid should be the best player in the series, and I think that he will be. And I think that these role players' contributions, Nicholas Batum saw what he did in the playing game. You've got Kelly Oubre stepping up. Kyle Lowry will hit big shots in spite of his age at 38 years old. So I just think with all of that, the Celtics renowned for their depth with Drew Holiday now, but still give me this Sixers team narrowly to advance there to the finals. And that brings us to Nuggets and Sixers there in the NBA Finals. And in that matchup, I would take the Nuggets to win in 6 games. I just think that they are the better team than the Sixers, and I do think that Jokic will be able to outbattle Embiid, and the Nuggets role players will step up there and be better than Philadelphia. So do think that the Nuggets win that one in 6 games and repeat as champions. So with all of my predictions being said and laid out here, let me know what you guys think of my predictions in the comments down below. Do you agree? Is there any massive pick that I messed up, let me know. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one.